Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about how do we go about controlling new user registration on a Drupal site. Because in our last screencast we talked about users and user roles and how you can have multiple users on a Drupal site and you can give them different permissions to do different things. I want to start by talking about how do we control who gets to be a user on your site. Um, and you might be wondering, well, how could someone else become a user on my site if I don't actually add them? If we click on the People tab up here, we see that we have the option to add a user right here, and we will be going through that in a future screencast. But even without doing that, I want to point something out to you. Something that is default setting on a fresh Drupal installation. To do this, I'm not going to log out on here, but I'm just going to switch over to another web browser. I've just switched over to Safari over here where I'm not currently logged into the site. This is the same site. Okay, but I'm not currently logged in. And I want to point something out to you here. In the user login block here, we actually have a link here to create a new account. This is an option that's available to anyone who just surfs, randomly surfs by your website. If I go ahead and click create new account, then what I do is what I see here is a form that I could fill out to actually apply for an account to this particular site. And in this case, I could just go ahead, I could create a username here, I could add my email address here, and I could create a new account. And you might be thinking, whoa, wait a second. I don't want just any random stranger creating a user account on my website. And that is a very good idea to stop that. Under what circumstances might you want to leave, under what circumstances might you want to actually leave this available? Perhaps if you've got some sort of a social networking type site, or you want people to be able to register themselves for this site, like, as subscribers, then you may wish to leave this open and allow the public to sign up for accounts, and you can do that. But in this case, we're just working on this site. What if we didn't want anyone to sign up for this site whatsoever? We can edit that, and that's actually a very good idea to do that. To do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the configuration section. I'm back in Chrome right now where I'm actually logged into my site. And in this case, we've seen the configuration section before. We've seen it because we actually spent some time in the site information section over here. We also learned in a previous screencast, we learned about cron and performance. In this case, we're going to have a look at a new window. We're going to go click on account settings. And this is where we can change some of the default configurations. In particular, if we scroll down here, we see registration and cancellation. Drupal asks us who can register accounts on this site. Who would you like to be able to register their own account on this site? And we'll see that we have three options. We can say administrators only, and that means myself, I'm currently the administrator, yourself, you would be the administrator for your own Drupal site. You are the only one who can actually register new accounts or user accounts on your particular installation of Drupal. And you would do that by clicking on the People tab and clicking that Add New User button. You can set it up so that that is only administrators are allowed. Alternately, you can also set it up so that any visitor who comes to your site can just sign up for an account. Okay, and that's without restriction. Anyone can just create a username, add their email address, and sign up for an account. Now usually they're not going to have full admin access to your site. They're just going to have some sort of an authenticated user access. But that is a possibility as well. This you're only going to use under certain circumstances, and you're going to want to be careful about this simply because there is really the possibility of spam at this point. So you'll probably want to use this cautiously in combination with some modules that do some sort of a CAPTCHA or ask some sort of skill testing question to make sure that the people who are signing up are actually real human beings and not just robots or something. This is how it was actually selected. This is the default when you have a brand new Drupal installation, is that visitors may register accounts, but administrator approval is required. required. And in this case, we'll see if we go back to Safari, it doesn't actually say this in here, but if we were to go through and create a new account, we would actually get a message stating that your account is currently, pending administrator approval. And that's a good idea because you do want to be able to control, who is signing up for your account if you are even going to allow anyone to sign up for new accounts. This is strongly recommended as well too, requiring email verification when a visitor creates an account. If you have this checked on, it means that new users, anybody who signs up, will need to validate their email address before they can log into the site. And what that means essentially is they're going to provide an email address when they sign up, and whatever this email address is right here, they're going to have to log into their email and validate that and click yes, this email address actually belongs to me. This is a good idea because even though it adds an extra step, you can imagine what would happen if you didn't require email validation, right? I mean, aside from the fact you could just put a garbage email in here that doesn't make sense, you could also put somebody else's email in here. And you certainly wouldn't want that. The last thing you want is to allow people to put other people's email addresses in here, and then suddenly you are sending messages to this poor person who never signed up for your website, and that can cause all sorts of headaches. So email validation is actually a good idea, even though it does ask your users to take an extra step. And then there's some other choices here about what to do when canceling a user account, and it's pretty self-explanatory, and we'll probably review these in a different screencast. In this case, let's say I wanted to change this, okay? I would like to change it so that only administrators can register accounts, and so I'm going to go ahead and say administrators only, and then I will go ahead and save this configuration. And okay, so Drupal has given me the feedback that yes, the configuration options have been saved. Let's go back to Safari. I'd like to go back to the front page here, and I'd like to see, what has changed here? What are we missing? That create new account option has suddenly disappeared. And so just by clicking making one simple change here, we've prevented people from signing up for a new user account on your Drupal site, and that's probably the way you want it. And we'll notice that if we go to the register page, I did not want to go to, see what happened there? Safari tried to auto-load the register page because I was just at it, and it says access denied, which is absolutely true. We have denied your registration. But what I wanted to do was just go to the user page, and this now allows people to either log in if they have a previously existing user account, or they can request a new password if they've forgotten their password. That will still work as well. This assumes in all cases that you actually do currently have a user account for this particular site. And so that's how we go about controlling who can and cannot sign up for your website as a user, as an authenticated user. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. I hope that that was helpful. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.